Our next guest is with a U.S.-based manufacturer of biometric iris recognition products that are distributed all around the world, and he's got some fascinating things to share with us. The VP of Sales and Marketing with a company called EyeLock is Chris Jahnke. Chris, welcome into Tomorrow. Thanks for coming on. How are you?
Very good, Dave. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Doing well.
It's our pleasure. Tell me a little bit about the company EyeLock, and then we'll get into some of the cool products that you do have.
Yeah, EyeLock's been a manufacturer in the biometrics sector for about 14 years. We're a U.S.-based company, and we've had a long history with manufacturing iris recognition products. And we've got an embedded group as well. We can talk a little bit about in a few minutes.
Sure.
Getting into making things a lot smaller for the marketplace as well.
And obviously, especially these days, nobody wants to touch anything. So in this case, I think right away, it's like even my front door, you got to touch and punch in a code. And, everything's all high tech at my house and our studios and everything, as one would expect, doing what we do. But even that, it's like, we're pretty much the only ones that touch it because you have to have the code to get in. But that doesn't say that it's not something on your hands or you're carrying anything or you're putting in a key and turning a lock, whether it's at work or otherwise. So iris recognition, I think, has obviously taken off even more so during this pandemic. Is that the case?
It sure is. We've seen a huge increase in not only opportunities, but sales as well. Being touchless, frictionless, has really found a center stage now with the pandemic and everything that we've been going through. More importantly, I think, when you look at the other biometric modalities that are out there, the primary ones being fingerprint, facial recognition, and of course, iris recognition. With fingerprint, nobody really wants to touch anything, like you said, and it's not all that accurate. And then you've got facial recognition, again, having issues with masks on these days, although there's ways around that, but then you reduce the accuracy of the product by, not looking behind the mask.
Yeah.
And then you've got eye recognition, the most accurate biometric of all. And we're just looking at your eyes. We're not doing anything with your face or anything else.
Now, is this predominantly, Chris, for businesses at this point, hospitals, institution, government buildings, whatever, that sort of thing? Or do we have them yet available, realistically priced perhaps, for our own homes for that matter?
Yeah, for right now, we are, heavily in the commercial, government, business sector, where people are spending the money in the biometrics market. Our embedded group that we have, a mature embedded team, is developing products that are going to be used in the consumer market. As an example, might be a point of sale terminal where your iris template is on a credit card and you're presenting that credit card to a terminal, and then you look at the terminal with your eyes and it authenticates you, and nobody else in the whole wide world would have had that credit card but you.
Awesome.
A rear view mirror, being able to do distracted driving by looking in a rear view mirror and it's watching your eyes, not necessarily a consumer product per se, but it's being used by the consumers for safety.
Wow. So there's many more opportunities for viewing irises, or would that be iris eye, plural, than I even thought of. I mean, the whole rear view mirror idea thing is just one of many things, no doubt, you guys are working on, but even that is very cool.
It is very cool. And it, like you said, there's many, many opportunities in there for a touchless, frictionless impact with biometrics in the consumer marketplace as well.
And I'm guessing with the exception of DNA, I know that you guys are talking about iris recognition being more accurate than anything else. I mean, fingerprints, they can be lifted sometimes with a fingerprint tape. And then we've seen such scenarios, and we've done it ourselves, where we then used our finger or someone else's finger to get in somewhere where they shouldn't have. And it's like, well, that's not very effective. One would think, well, it's a unique fingerprint. Not always, not the case.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's interesting to imagine how the eyes, I mean, it's not just, okay, he's got hazel eyes, that must be Dave. No, it's a lot more involved than the color of my eyes, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, what we use is a false acceptance rate. How many times would somebody falsely be accepted into the system? And with the three, again, primary modalities, fingerprint is about 1 out of 50,000. Meaning there'd be one person out of 50,000 people that might have a very, very similar fingerprint.
Yeah.
With facial recognition, that's in the hundreds of thousands. But with two eyes in the iris recognition modality, it's 1 out of 2.25 trillion people.
Holy cow.
So it's highly more accurate. And it's because we gather more points of data. With a fingerprint, you're gathering about 30 points of data on a finger, and that's pretty good considering the small size of a finger. With facial recognition, it's a few hundred points of data across the face. And again, when you block that with a mask, it's less points that you're looking at.
Sure.
With iris, we're looking at 240 plus points per eye. So almost 500 points of data. And everybody knows more data equals more accuracy. You've got more things to look at. And that's why. And with even one eye, we're still 1 out of 1.5 million people.
Wow.
So it's the most accurate biometric identifier other than DNA.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. And what is it? What are some of those points? I mean, it's veins in the eyes. I mean, without getting too technical or too involved, just for our audience to kind of get a better handle on what is it that you're seeing that helps to identify, yes, it's definitely Dave.
Yeah, and I say points of data because it's very easy to understand points of data.
Sure.
They're more like characteristics of the iris. When you're in the womb and you're being created, the iris tears, no pain, of course, but it's tearing to create an eyeball, an iris. And during that process, it's obviously highly unique to that individual. Even Siamese twins do not have the same eyes. Wow. Or twins. There's misunderstandings with that out there, but it's factual. There's never been a person on the face of the earth with the same two eyes that any one person has now, and probably will never be.
That's wild, and certainly brings it home to describing what you tell us about how accurate it is. I think that's fascinating. Tell me about the new product, IXT, as well. As I understand that this can take users' temperature, but more importantly, detect if a user is not wearing a mask and therefore deny them access if that's what your building requirement is or that sort of thing. Right there, exactly. That sounds fascinating.
Correct. Yep. So the IXT came out a couple of months ago, and our big thing was to develop a product that our customers had wanted. There were some things about our other products that may not have been perfect, and we went out there and designed a product that people could use just like a cell phone. So they see themselves using the product, they know where to stand, it talks to them, it displays English or foreign language on the screen so they know what to do, move closer, move farther back. And during the exact time we're authenticating them, which is 1 to 2 seconds, we can also take their temperature with the optional iTemp temperature module. And with that same module, we can also determine whether or not they're wearing a mask. And we put all the controls for that mask and temperature inside the user's administration panel so they know what to do with it. If they want to deny access, they can. If they want to let them in, but just send a notification out via email or text to somebody in the building, we can do that as well. Very flexible, very powerful product.
Yeah, and certainly I think easy for a lot of businesses. I mean, I've gone to physical therapy lately, getting over the Rona and all that sort of thing, and I've had some issue. Every time you walk in the door, right away they're sticking the thermometer at your forehead, and sometimes it happens in a store or just somebody's office. You don't have to do that if you've got the IXT system from EyeLock because it does it for you. And as you say, then you make your appropriate decisions. They're permitted, they're not. You've got a temperature, I'm sorry, come back when you don't, any number of things. Or very simply, you're not wearing a mask. It doesn't have to be visual by someone working in the office. It's your equipment that's doing that and turning them away at that point. So
exactly, yep.
Now, we talked about all these points of data earlier, and I'm imagining my audience in my head saying, yeah, but how do they protect our data? Because we've said for years on the show, forget privacy, it doesn't exist anymore. But to some degree, we still have to have some privacy with our data. How are you handling that?
Yeah, so we're actually collecting the biometric. They're opting in while they're doing it, so they know their irises are being collected. Then we take their iris templates, the left and the right eyes, and we combine them into one template. And then we encrypt that template using 256-bit AES type DoD or Department of Defense type encryption, highly, highly secure. And that's all we store on the individual. And when they look in one of our devices, they're looking at the device, we're comparing their actual irises with the templates that are stored in a database, and that's it.
Very good.
We don't have to attach that to a name or anything like that. And unlike facial recognition, we're not capturing someone's face, which is easily identifiable. You can't tell somebody by just their irises. And we're not even storing the image of their irises, just the numeric value of what their irises mean.
That's very cool. Does your technology work if they're wearing glasses, sunglasses or regular glasses, prescription glasses, reading glasses? How does that happen?
That's a great question. And because we use, and the industry as a whole uses, it's not something unique to EyeLock. We use near-infrared light. And near-infrared light's properties, it allows it to penetrate plastic like contact lenses, glasses, eyewear, things like that, and even most sunglasses.
Interesting. So, of course, it's always easy to have a sign if you're wearing sunglasses, remove them. I remember when you couldn't go into a bank if you had a hat on, let alone a face mask or sunglasses. Now you can't go in it unless you do. I mean, you got to be all masked up to begin with. It's just so odd. A lot of gun shops, though, have had signs. No mask. We're a gun shop. We want to see who you are. But again, EyeLock will identify the people appropriately and give them that needed peace of mind. Where do you think we're headed into tomorrow, if you will, with the iris recognition, with things that you guys are working on? Where do you think we're going?
Yeah, the name of your show is perfect. I mean, our technology as a whole is a technology that's going to be used in the future. And it's not going to be so much on security, physical security, as it is in the embedded sector and the embedded side of things. So as you go get a prescription at a doctor's office or something, they could hold up a cell phone or an iPad and identify you and make sure that you're the right person getting the prescription. There are just not an infinite number, but there's a lot of uses for that down the road, from securing transactions in sales, credit card transactions, venues. Instead of buying a concert ticket, your enrollment on your mobile device is your eyes. You go to the venue, you look at the kiosk, and you go in. It's really going to simplify everybody. And again, we're not violating anybody's privacy by doing so.
And I like, from a consumer standpoint, how there's no passwords to remember. You are your password. And that is awesome as far as I'm concerned, and certainly the future, more and more of that. That's why I'm glad that you also have a team working on things for us consumers as well as businesses that can help us take care of things and know that we're going to be more accurate, more private in that sense too. And of course, I think you being your own password, you don't have to carry anything around either. Hopefully you have yourself.
Exactly. You have your eyes. And again, it's way more accurate than a fingerprint, way more accurate than facial, and it's much more private.
Sure.
Yep, and it's the perfect biometric other than DNA.
Right. I was going to say the only thing better, if you will, is DNA, but then you got to wait weeks for results, and that's not going to allow you to get into a bank or something. So EyeLock.com, EYE lock.com. You certainly want to see what Chris and his team are up to. And, of course, we will link you there when you visit our site at intotomorrow.com. Chris Jahnke, VP of Sales and Marketing with EyeLock, thanks so much for spending time with us and being part of our CES specials this year. You've got awesome things you're working on. Keep up the good work. Keep us informed, and we'll keep sharing it.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it very much.
It's our pleasure. Again, EyeLock.com. For more, visit intotomorrow.com. I'm Dave Graveline. We continue bringing you further into tomorrow, especially from our virtual CES this year, right here on the Advanced Media Network.